First contact shock. Chief Xenobiologist Dr. Vexera stood motionless before the Galactic Council's emergency session, her silvery scales rippling with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The massive chamber, hewn from living crystal, held representatives from over 1,000 civilized worlds. Today, they would hear about her team's most extraordinary discovery in centuries of space exploration. Honorable Council, she began, her translator converting her harmonic speech into standard galactic common. 3 cycles ago, my research vessel detected anomalous readings from an unexplored system in the Orion Spur. What we found there defies everything we know about sapient life evolution. The holographic display behind her flickered to life, showing a blue-green planet wrapped in swirling white clouds. Several council members leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused intently on the image. This is Sol 3, known to its inhabitants as Earth. At first glance, it appears to be a standard Class M planet. However, our detailed scans revealed something unprecedented. She paused, her scales shifting to a deep violet of scientific fascination. This world exhibits characteristics of 12 different catastrophic planetary conditions. Any one of these would typically preclude the development of advanced life. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. A hive mind representative, its crystalline form pulsing with skepticism, spoke first. Elaborate, Doctor. What conditions are we discussing? The planet's crust is fractured into moving pieces that constantly collide, causing massive geological instability. Its atmosphere contains highly reactive oxygen at toxic levels. It experiences extreme temperature variations, devastating storms, and regular impacts from space debris. The gravity is 1.4 times galactic standard. Yet, she activated another hologram, this one showing various human cities, vehicles, and activities. Yet it has produced this. The chamber erupted in disbelief. The humans in the images appeared so ordinary, vital, soft-skinned, without any obvious defensive adaptations. They simply didn't look like creatures that could survive such conditions. Most remarkably, Vexera continued, these humans don't merely survive their death world. They thrive on it. They build cities on fault lines, near active volcanoes, and in flood zones. They venture into space using chemical rockets, despite their planet's crushing gravity well. They practice agriculture in deserts and frozen wastes alike. The Aquarian delegate, a being of living water contained within a force field, rippled in agitation. Surely they must possess some extraordinary biological adaptations. That's the most fascinating part, Vexera replied, her scales shifting to excited gold. Their primary adaptation appears to be their minds. Humans have developed technology and social structures to overcome their world's challenges, rather than evolving specialized biological traits. They can survive in virtually any environment through artificial means. She displayed more images, humans deep underwater in pressure suits, scaling frozen mountains, working in sterile laboratories, and walking on their moon. But there's more. The conditions that should have prevented their evolution instead accelerated it. Earth's high gravity gave them dense muscles and robust skeletal structures. The oxygen-rich atmosphere supercharged their metabolism. The constant geological activity provided them with abundant mineral resources for technological development. The council chamber had grown eerily quiet. Vexera knew she was about to deliver the most shocking revelation. Distinguished council members, my team has concluded that humans are not merely survivors of a death world. They are its intended product. Every catastrophic condition on Earth contributed to creating a species of unprecedented adaptability and resilience. She showed a final series of images, human medical facilities, research laboratories, and engineering achievements. They've turned their struggle for survival into a drive for understanding. They've developed medical science that can cure diseases we thought incurable. They've created material science that defies our understanding of physics. And most importantly, her scales rippled with an emotion she couldn't quite name, something between admiration and awe. They want to share this knowledge. The hive mind representative's crystalline form flickered with confusion. Share. Why would they share their advantages? Because, Vexra replied, her scales settling into a calm blue, they see the galaxy not as a competition for survival, but as a community to be uplifted. They view their harsh world not as a curse, but as a forge that prepared them to help others face similar challenges. She closed her presentation with an image of Earth at night, its cities gleaming like stars across the dark side of the planet. Honorable Council, I recommend we immediately establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Their Deathworld didn't just create survivors, it created protectors, and I believe the galaxy will be better for knowing them. As the council chamber erupted in excited discussion, Vexra's scales rippled with satisfaction. She had just introduced the galaxy to its most unexpected guardians, the children of a world that should have killed them, but instead made them strong enough to protect others. The human factor. The emergency alert echoed through the Galactic Medical Center's pristine halls, its crystalline walls pulsing with urgent red light. Dr. Vexra rushed through the quarantine chamber, her scales dark with concern as she reviewed the latest data. The Nexus plague had already claimed 12 worlds, spreading faster than any pathogen in recorded history. Dr. Sarah Chen stood next to her, seemingly calm despite the chaos around them. The human doctor looked oddly vulnerable in her simple biosafety suit, especially compared to the sealed environmental chambers most alien medical staff required. Yet there was something in her stance that radiated confidence. Your people's approach to disease is unusual, Vexra noted, watching Sarah examine a holographic model of the virus's structure. Most species flee from infection. Humans seem to chase it. Sarah smiled, her eyes never leaving the rotating model. When you grow up on a planet teeming with millions of potential pathogens, you learn to fight back. Earth's entire history is a story of humans versus microbes. We've had lots of practice. The human reached out, manipulating the hologram with practiced ease. See this protein structure. It's similar to a coronavirus we dealt with back home. And this replication mechanism reminds me of influenza. Earth's pathogens taught us every trick in the book long ago. Another alert flashed across the screens. 3 more worlds had reported cases. Vexra's scales shifted to anxious purple, but Sarah's expression remained focused, almost eager. Dr. Chen. A melodious voice chimed. A harmonious one floated into the lab, its gaseous form swirling with distress. The virus has mutated again. Our computational models can't keep up with the variations. Then we'll change our approach, Sarah replied, pulling up new data streams. On Earth, we learned that fighting evolution with evolution usually works better than trying to create a perfect cure. Show me your bacterial cultivation chambers. Hours turned into days as Sarah led a radical new research direction. Instead of trying to destroy the virus directly, she proposed using Earth-inspired techniques. Phage therapy, engineered probiotics, and adaptive immune system stimulation. Methods that seemed chaotic and dangerous to the galactic medical community, but which humanity had refined through centuries of desperate necessity. Your species' medical knowledge is extraordinary, Vexra observed, watching Sarah work tirelessly through another night shift. Yet you say you developed most of it fighting diseases on Earth. Sarah nodded, stifling a yawn. We had to. Earth's biology is incredibly diverse and competitive. Every cure we developed taught us something new. Even our failures helped us understand how to fight the next threat better. But the risks you take in research. Vexra's scales rippled with concern as she watched Sarah handle live viral samples. Most species would consider this approach reckless. Calculated risks, Sarah corrected, carefully transferring cultures. Earth taught us that too. When you live on a planet where literally anything could kill you, you learn to assess dangers quickly and accurately. We're not reckless. We're experienced. The breakthrough came 3 weeks later. Sarah's team had developed a revolutionary treatment combining modified Earth probiotics with engineered bacteriophages. The human approach of fighting evolution with evolution proved devastatingly effective against the Nexus plague. As the cure was distributed across infected worlds, Vexra found Sarah in the observation dome, watching ships depart carrying medical supplies. The human doctor looked exhausted but satisfied. "You've saved billions of lives," Vexra said, her scales shimmering with admiration. "The Council is hailing this as the greatest medical achievement in recent history." Sarah shook her head, smiling slightly. "We just applied what Earth taught us. Every pandemic we faced, every disease we fought, they were all preparation for this moment. Earth's harshness gave us the tools to help others. The Council was right to seek human aid," Vexra mused. "Your Deathworld made you uniquely qualified to handle this crisis." "That's the thing about Earth," Sarah replied, watching another medical ship disappear into hyperspace. "It didn't just teach us how to survive threats. It taught us how to protect others from them. Every challenge we faced made us better guardians." As they stood together watching the medical fleet deploy, Vexra reflected on how the galaxy's perception of humanity had shifted. The species that had once been dismissed as Deathworld savages had proved to be something far more valuable. Healers forged in the crucible of Earth's relentless evolutionary arms race. The Nexus plague had meant to bring death, but instead it had revealed life's most dedicated defenders, humans, the children of Earth, who had turned their world's harsh lessons into hope for others. Trial by fire. Admiral James Chen stood before the Galactic Defense Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of battle formations. The swarm had already consumed 3 star systems, their biomechanical ships seemingly unstoppable. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations found themselves helpless against an enemy that adapted to every tactic, every weapon. High Commander Zidlith, a towering figure of living crystal, voiced what many were thinking. "The swarm's ships evolve faster than we can develop countermeasures. Our most powerful weapons are useless within hours of deployment." "That's because you're fighting them like they're a conventional enemy," James replied, manipulating the holographic display. "But this isn't a conventional war. This is survival. And humans know something about that." The display shifted to show Earth's historical battles, from ancient conflicts to modern warfare. On Earth, we learned that victory doesn't always go to the strongest or most technologically advanced. It goes to those who can adapt faster than their opponents. Dr. Vexra, now serving as xenobiological advisor to the Council, watched with fascination as James outlined his strategy. Her scales rippled with recognition. Here again was that uniquely human perspective, shaped by Earth's relentless challenges. "The swarm adapts to specific threats," James continued. "But what if we don't give them time to adapt? What if we keep changing our approach faster than they can evolve?" He demonstrated his plan using battle simulations. Instead of relying on superior firepower or technology, human tactics emphasized unpredictability, rapid adaptation, and coordinated chaos. It was warfare as Earth had taught it, not through overwhelming force, but through endless innovation and resilience. "This is madness," a hive mind representative pulsed. "Your species proposes to fight a technologically superior force with improvisation." James smiled grimly. "On Earth, we've been the underdogs in every fight we've ever won. Against nature, against disease, against our own limitations. We learned to turn disadvantages into advantages. Now we'll teach you how." The Council, despite its reservations, had no choice but to accept human leadership in the war effort. Within weeks, the tide began to turn. Human commanders introduced concepts that seemed counterintuitive to their allies. Guerrilla warfare, asymmetric engagement, and what they called controlled chaos. During a crucial battle in the Orient sector, Vexra watched from the command center as human strategies proved their worth. The swarm's ships, expecting another head-on engagement, found themselves caught in an elaborate trap. Alliance forces struck from multiple vectors, using constantly changing tactics that gave the enemy no time to adapt. "It's beautiful, in its way," Vexra remarked to James as they watched the battle unfold. Your species took Earth's harshest lessons, the need to adapt, to innovate, to survive against overwhelming odds, and turned them into an art form. We had good teachers, James replied, coordinating another series of unpredictable strikes. Every predator on Earth, every natural disaster, every competition for resources, they all taught us something about survival. Now we're teaching the swarm. The war raged for months, but the outcome was never again in doubt. The swarm, for all its technological superiority, couldn't match humanity's rate of tactical evolution. Every victory made the alliance stronger, as other species learned to embrace human methods of adaptation and innovation. In the end, it wasn't a superweapon or technological breakthrough that defeated the swarm. It was the accumulated wisdom of a species that had evolved on a world where survival itself was a daily victory. Humanity had turned Earth's harsh lessons into a shield for the galaxy. During the victory celebration, Vexra found James in a quiet observation room, watching ships repair battle damage. The Council never imagined that Earth's violent history would prove so valuable. She noted, her scales shimmering with respect. Earth didn't make us violent, James corrected gently. It made us survivors. And survivors understand something important. The best victory isn't destroying your enemy. It's protecting what matters. As they stood together watching the fleet, Vexra understood a deeper truth about humanity. Earth hadn't just created warriors. It had created guardians who understood the price of peace, the value of adaptation, and the importance of standing together against impossible odds. The galaxy would never again underestimate these children of Earth, who had turned their Deathworld's lessons into a formula for life's victory against the darkness. Evolution's children. The Galactic Science Academy's main hall buzzed with anticipation. After a year of intensive research, Dr. Vexra was about to present her comprehensive study on human evolutionary development. The audience included not just scientists, but military leaders, policymakers, and even several human observers. Dr. Vexra's scales shimmered with excited gold as she activated the holographic display. Distinguished colleagues, my research has revealed something extraordinary about human evolution. We've been asking the wrong question. Instead of wondering how humans survived Earth, we should have been asking why Earth created humans. The hologram showed a detailed model of Earth's history, from its violent formation to the present day. Most worlds that develop sapient life are stable, predictable environments. Species evolve to fit specific niches, but Earth never allowed for such specialization. Its constantly changing conditions demanded something different. She highlighted various catastrophic events in Earth's history: massive volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, rapid climate shifts. Other worlds would have seen these as extinction events. Earth turned them into evolutionary opportunities. Each crisis forced life to adapt or die, creating increasingly resilient organisms. The display shifted to show human brain development over millions of years, but Earth's masterpiece was the human mind. Instead of evolving specialized physical adaptations, humans developed unprecedented cognitive flexibility. Their brains became problem-solving engines, capable of turning any challenge into an opportunity for advancement. Dr. Sarah Chen, who had helped save the galaxy from the Nexus plague, stepped forward. "You're saying Earth deliberately made us this way?" "In a manner of speaking," Vexra replied, her scales rippling with scientific excitement. "Each catastrophe shaped your species' development. Volcanic winters forced you to master fire. Ice ages drove you to develop complex tools and social structures. Constant predator pressure enhanced your pattern recognition and predictive abilities." The hologram now showed human technological advancement, from stone tools to quantum computers. Most remarkably, humans turned Earth's hostility into a drive for innovation. Where other species would have sought merely to survive, humans sought to understand. Every natural disaster became a lesson in physics. Every disease became a crash course in biology. Every predator became a study in strategy. Admiral James Chen, watching from the back of the hall, nodded in recognition. The tactical genius that had helped defeat the swarm hadn't come from nowhere. It had been bred into his species by millions of years of overcoming challenges. But here's what truly sets humans apart, Vexra continued, her scales shifting to a deep blue of profound realization. They don't just solve problems. They anticipate them. They don't just adapt to changes. They prepare for them. Earth taught them not just to survive the present, but to plan for the future. She displayed data from human research facilities, climate change mitigation strategies, pandemic prevention programs, asteroid defense systems. Humans aren't content to react to threats. They actively work to prevent them. They've taken Earth's harshest lessons and turned them into protective measures for their entire world. The hologram showed human space exploration efforts. And now they're extending that protection to the stars. Their harsh world didn't just make them survivors. It made them innovators, planners, guardians. Every solution they develop, they freely share with others. Every defense they create, they offer to their allies. A hive mind representative pulsed with curiosity. But surely they must see the advantage in keeping their innovations to themselves. That's another remarkable aspect of human psychology, Vexra explained. Earth taught them that survival is easier together. They learned that sharing knowledge and resources increases everyone's chances of success. Their harsh world didn't make them selfish. It made them understand the value of cooperation. She concluded with a stunning visualization of human scientific contributions since joining the galactic community. Medical breakthroughs, engineering innovations, defensive technologies, environmental protection strategies. Earth didn't just create a species that could survive anything. It created a species that could help others survive anything. As the presentation ended, the hall erupted in discussion. Dr. Vexra noticed Sarah and James Chen talking quietly with other human representatives, their expressions thoughtful but determined. They caught her eye and smiled, the kind of smile that suggested they were already thinking about the next challenge, the next innovation, the next way to protect life in all its forms. Vexra's scales settled into a peaceful green as she watched them. Earth, that supposedly deadly world, hadn't produced monsters or conquerors. It had produced guardians, innovators, and teachers, a species uniquely qualified to help the galaxy face its own challenges. The Deathworld had given life its greatest defenders. Guardians of life. 5 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the galactic community. Dr. Vexra stood on the observation deck of Resilience Station, watching the impossible unfold through the reinforced viewport. Below, on the surface of what had once been designated an uninhabitable Deathworld, the first non-human colony was taking root. The planet, Magnus II, had gravity 1.8 times galactic standard, regular seismic activity, and storms that could strip paint from hull plating. Just a few years ago, the Galactic Council would have marked it as permanently unsuitable for colonization. Now, thanks to human ingenuity and guidance, it was home to a thriving mixed-species settlement. Remarkable progress, Admiral James Chen said, joining her at the viewport. The Aquarian biodomes are holding up perfectly against the gravity stress. Those new adaptive foundation systems your people developed are working even better than we hoped. Vexra's scales rippled with pride and amazement. The project represented unprecedented cooperation between species. Human expertise in surviving harsh conditions combined with advanced alien technology had achieved what neither could have done alone. "Did you ever imagine," she asked, "when we first contacted your people, that this would be the result? That the very things that made Earth seem so terrifying would become our greatest assets?" James smiled, watching a group of environmental engineers, human and alien, working together to adjust the colony's protective shields. Earth taught us that the most hostile environments often hold the greatest opportunities. We just needed to learn how to look at them differently. Below them, the colony was a testament to that philosophy. Human-designed buildings used principles learned from Earth's termites to stay cool in the brutal heat. Atmospheric processors based on deep-sea vent ecosystems extracted valuable minerals from the toxic atmosphere. Every challenge the planet presented had been turned into an advantage. Dr. Sarah Chen's voice came over the station's comm system. "You both might want to come to the medical bay. We're ready to begin the final trial of the adaptive biology program." In the medical center, Sarah stood before a group of alien scientists, explaining how Earth's extremophile organisms had inspired a breakthrough in biological adaptation. By studying how life on Earth adapts to everything from boiling hot springs to radioactive waste, we've developed ways to help other species safely adapt to conditions they never could have survived before. Vexra watched as the research team demonstrated their latest success, helping a group of crystalline beings survive in liquid water environments. What would have been fatal to their species just months ago was now just another habitat option. "This is why Earth made us the way we are," Sarah explained to the assembled scientists. "Not just to survive, but to understand survival itself. Every challenge we faced taught us something new about life's potential. Now we can share those lessons." The station's alert system chimed softly. Another colony ship was arriving. This one carried settlers from 12 different species, all eager to build new lives on worlds they once thought forever beyond their reach. Humanity had not just shown them it was possible, they were teaching them how to do it. "Sometimes I think back to that first day," Vexra said, her scales shifting to reflective blue. "When I stood before the council and tried to explain what Earth was, I thought I was describing a death world. Instead, I was describing life's greatest classroom." James nodded. "Earth never gave us anything easily. We had to work for every advancement, fight for every survival strategy. But that struggle gave us something precious, the knowledge that life can adapt to anything if you give it the right tools and opportunities." Around them, the station hummed with activity. In laboratories, human and alien scientists worked side by side, developing new technologies to overcome environmental challenges. In training centers, human survival experts taught other species the skills they'd learned over millennia of facing Earth's challenges. In training centers, human survival experts taught other species the skills they'd learned over millennia of facing Earth's challenges. In planning rooms, mixed species teams designed new colonies for worlds once thought uninhabitable. "We're not just expanding the galaxy's habitable zones," Sarah added, reviewing data from the latest adaptation trials. "We're expanding life's possibilities. Every world we help colonize, every species we help adapt, it's all part of making the galaxy more resilient." As night fell on Magnus II, the colony's lights created a constellation of hope on the planet's surface. In orbit, ships from across the galaxy arrived carrying more settlers, more dreamers, more species ready to learn that what they had thought were limitations were really just challenges waiting to be overcome. Vexra's scales settled into a deep, satisfied gold as she watched humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy unfold. Earth, the supposed death world, had created something extraordinary, a species that could turn any world into a cradle of life, any challenge into an opportunity for growth, any barrier into a bridge to new possibilities. The galaxy had feared Earth's children would be monsters born of a harsh world. Instead, they had become life's most dedicated guardians, teaching others not just how to survive, but how to thrive. In doing so, they had transformed the very meaning of what a death world could create, not destroyers, but protectors, not conquerors, but teachers, not survivors, but guardians of all life's infinite potential.